we started the company, a bit unintentionally. We really started because we left the company we were working at prior due to some disagreements we had with some ethical things. And so we just said, hey, it's not right for the company for us to stay. It's not right for us to stay. And we both left. And he and I had worked, this is my business partner, Mark Hadar, had worked really hand in hand together. And we said, let's go do something together. And we really thought about, we worked at a SaaS company and we were building products. Like that's what we had done. Like that was our background, and had worked with a lot of, big companies, mostly, Fortune 100 companies was our clientele at that last business. And, we were thinking about starting some new product company, and we just went and brainstormed for a few weeks, and we said, let's do some consulting, here while we figure out what we want to do next. We just need to make some money, pay bills, make ends meet until we figure out what we really want to do. And, we didn't even really know what that meant. We were like, let's start a consulting firm, and neither of us have ever done consulting before, so that's something only maybe, 26, 27-year-olds would say, but we were 26 and 27, so it made perfect sense. And, what I think we recognized was that most of these companies that we were serving at the SaaS company, like we were having to integrate into their systems and working a lot with their IT teams. And we thought, really, this is around the time where it was really becoming very clear to us that like every company was going to be defined by technology. Every industry was going to be defined by technology. Every industry was going to be one with technology in some way. We decided to do some consulting, trying to figure out, how to make it. We were just trying to make some money, try to pay the bills, try to make ends meet while we figured out what we really wanted to do. And so we were like, let's do some consulting, let's call, everybody that we know, and let's start, calling and see who needs help building things, right? We build technology products, like that's what we'll go out, we'll help people do that. And, we had never done consulting before, but, that's what you do, right? As an entrepreneur, sometimes you're like, all right, well, how hard can it be?
Was it the joyful idiot of being a young 26,
that's right.
27?
Yeah, I think it's, you're 26 or 27.
Ignorance
you're like, let's start a
mindset.
consulting firm. We've never done consulting before. Like that's, again, something only 26 or 27-year-olds would say. But, what we really found, and like where we found like our, place in the market and our niche in the market was really in product engineering, is what that space became known as. And around 2010, 2011, like even really that term didn't even really get widely adopted until the late 2010s. But it ultimately became known as product engineering. And, when we first started it, we saw it as very different from like traditional IT, that these big companies we had been serving, their IT departments, to lots of corporate IT things and IT functions. That's very different than somebody designing, architecting, engineering a product in a line of business that maybe they're going to take to market to drive revenue for the business, or maybe some proprietary technology that delivers some sort of unique competitive advantage for a business. That's not what most IT departments focus their time on. If you look at an Amazon, an Apple, a Google, that's not what their IT department does. Their product teams are who does those things. But in like the non-digital native companies, like they didn't really differentiate between those two sides of the world. If it was software and technology, the IT department owned it. But what we really recognized in serving that clientele was that they really didn't understand how to build great products. That just was not what they did. You didn't really understand like what was so different about that. I think the market didn't even really see what was different about it. When we came out and said, we're doing product engineering, we build technology products, people would say, okay, so you're, IT? And we're like, no, we're product people, design, or, oh, you're a design firm. We're like, well, we do design and engineering. And they're like, well, nobody's good at both. And we were like, that's just crazy. Like, that's to build great products, you have to be good at both of those things. And, really, I think we were part of a very early group who really understood that every company really needed these capabilities to win in their space. That was their industry. I mean, all their industries were going to be one with technology, right? Like, I mean, you can see that now. It's pretty, it's everywhere, right? Everybody sees that. Everybody uses technology to gain an advantage over their competition, to do things better, faster, cheaper, differently, right? there's lots of advantages with technology. That's a very obvious thing at this point. But I don't think people really understood like what that meant and how to get there at the time. Since then, this stuff has really, become commonplace. But, we're thinking back, this is in 2010, 2011, right? Really 2011 when we started doing that, kind of singing from that songbook, along with a handful of other firms. And really it ultimately became its own space. It got, I think it started getting recognized as something fundamentally different, as a different capability than these companies had historically. I think everybody now really agrees that they need that. They have a product mindset. You can't walk into a company now where they, would debate this anymore. They'd say, oh, of course we do that. We absolutely do those things. We know we need it. But when we started the business, that was not common at all.